Welcome back, everyone. So this is a printer that I bought 6 years ago. In fact, I did a review of this printer, or like a show and tell kind of thing, when I bought it. And I cannot believe this printer is still kicking. It's still going strong. As a matter of fact, I just loaded it with 4 fresh ink cartridges, about $2,000 worth of ink. No, seriously though, it was about $125 worth of ink. This printer isn't worth $125, but those ink cartridges will last a while. I only use standard capacity cartridges. The truth is, though, I no longer own this printer. I have relinquished it to Amelia for her business. She does pet care, and she's getting into candle making, and she's using this to print all of her labels. So I've decided that I'm no longer going to invest in ink cartridges for this machine because, quite frankly, I don't really use it that much. She's the one who's using it the most. But this printer, let's do a quick nozzle check on this thing. Let's see what she looks like. So it's got fresh ink in it now. And let's go to the toolbox. And we'll go to printer maintenance. And we're going to do we'll do an align print head. Let's see what that does for us. But honestly, this machine has been bulletproof. It is. I'm just gonna say it. Of all the inkjet machines I have ever owned, this is the best one. It has never given me a lick of trouble, aside from the ridiculous cost of supplies. Again, it does burn through the ink. Don't be fooled. This thing wastes ink more than any inkjet I've ever had. But it's been reliable. Never a misfeed. Never a jam. It's just a solid machine. And it's a shame that HP's quality control has really gone down. These machines aren't what make HP money. It's the ink, let's be honest. If HP were to be honest with themselves, they would say that these are basically disposable like Bic pens. But this particular machine has been quite reliable. I've owned quite a few HP inkjets over the years, and I've decided I'm done with HP, and I'm done with inkjet technology. I no longer buy inkjet machines or ink. I'm done. I've moved on with my life. But if I were to recommend buying a new printer, they don't make this model anymore. So there you go. What's interesting about this machine is it actually has a replaceable print head, but nobody is buying replacement print heads for these. Even if they sell them, nobody's buying them. This is what the cartridge, by the way. This is the 952XL Black. Now, you can buy the 952XL with the 3-pack color for about $125. But look at this printout. This is a beautiful printout for a machine that is as old as this one is. And it's had regular use. So that's kind of, that's a good thing. The thing with these inkjet printers is you have to use them. You can't just buy an inkjet printer, let it sit on a shelf for a month or two, and then expect it to print cleanly the next time you go to use it. It just doesn't work that way, unfortunately. So, and I'm building up to something else. I'll get to that in a second. But yes, with inkjet printers, the key to longevity is regular use, especially on the models with piezo heads like Epson's, and I think Canon uses those as well. But the HPs are still using old-fashioned, I believe they're a heat-fired print head. Let's take a look inside of this machine here. Now, you can see this thing has been ravaged by time. I mean, it's kind of dirty in there, and there's our 4 cartridges right there. It's got a lot of buildup on the rollers. But let me see if I can get my light. There we go. So you can see there's a little bit of buildup on the rollers. It's not as clean as it used to be, but tell you, I mean, like I said, this has been a good machine. It really has. I've never thought I'd ever say anything positive about an inkjet printer, regardless of manufacturer. But here we are. And then here's your instructions. You just got to press these cartridges in. They pop out. They're spring-loaded. I mean, as far as engineering and build quality, you know, I can't say anything bad about it. The only thing I really don't like about these HP machines is the software and the drivers. They're always problematic. They've always been problematic. I've had very few issues, very many issues, especially with the Airprint support. Airprint support on this machine is dodgy, and I keep getting errors with it. I mean, I think I've done a firmware update on this recently. Let's see, update the printer, check for our printer updates. Yeah, it's fully updated firmware and firmware-wise anyway. But that's it. That's my HP 8710. Again, I no longer own this. I have officially handed the keys over to Amelia. She is buying her own ink from now. She has been using a lot of ink lately. And I told her, I'm done. I'm not buying ink for this anymore. It's too expensive. And you're the one using it. Most of my printouts go downstairs to the black and white laser that I basically saved from the trash that I have not had to buy a cartridge for, and I probably never will. So let's take a look at what I replaced this with. Yes, so I actually replaced this machine yesterday with a new machine. And you might be shocked at what I bought, but it's kind of been a planned purchase. And I just had to pull the trigger this tax season because in the process of starting up and winding up a business, and I need all the write-offs I can get. So let's take a look. So I did say that I was done with inkjet technology. I'm done with inkjet cartridges. I'm done with inkjet. I have had it with inkjet. And there's a very, very specific reason why. And I'll tell you. So as part of my business, where I restore vintage car stereos, I actually have to sometimes recreate decals that go onto faceplates. If I have to refinish the faceplate, the customer is going to want the print that was on there. They want it back. And the only way for me to do that without getting into silk screening, which is an expense I can't really handle right now, is to print out water slide decals over top the paint, and then I clear coat over top of that for durability purposes. The problem is with water slide decals, they make laser and they make inkjet decal material. And the problem with inkjet technology is the pigments tend to fade out rather quickly when exposed to direct sunlight over time. What I found in my own testing is that toner doesn't fade like ink does. The pigment is much more robust. The print itself is water by nature. It is completely water resistant. It is fade resistant. And with toner, it actually sits on top of and is melted to the surface. Ink, on the other hand, soaks into the surface. So when I wanted to find a solution for a durable printout, I went to color laser. Now, I've been using the color laser machine that's in my office. That's at work. I don't own that machine, and I don't pay for the supplies. And it is not right for me to do that ethically. I did a couple of sheets just to test it out, and it worked fine. So I decided at that point that I'm going to invest in a color laser printer for my home office for that reason. Otherwise, if I were to stick with inkjet technology, I would have gone with an Epson EcoTank. I love the Epson EcoTank. It is a very poorly built, but long-lasting and inexpensive solution for desktop printing. But like I said, if it wasn't for that one requirement that it has to be for when I do run a couple of sheets at a time of color laser printed decals, If it wasn't for that, I probably would have gone with inkjet just to have an inkjet printer for printing box labels and such, where I put colors. I put color accents in those labels. The Canon image class machines I have found to be fairly robust. Canon used to manufacture most, if not all, of HP's laser printer engines. They had an agreement where Canon would manufacture either the entire machine or components of HP laser printers under contract. And this is an agreement that goes back to the 80s with the very first HP LaserJet. And as I understand it, HP has severed that agreement, or has, well, actually Canon had a lot of say in that. I don't know if the deal went through, but HP was supposed to be merging with or being bought out by Xerox, and that conflicts with Canon's business, and Canon's like, we're not doing this anymore. So I think HP has actually switched manufacturers, and I believe they're using Samsung print engines these days. That having been said, I went with Canon because I actually do like the Canon print engines. They are pretty well made. When compared to the alternative. This particular machine set me back $350, which for a color laser all-in-one with fax, not that I'll ever use fax, but it also does double-sided scanning, which is a function that I kind of wish I had before. But double-sided scanning is a great time saver. For example, I had to scan a bunch of documents yesterday after I unpacked them. I got some stuff I need to scan and digitize, so I was able to do that in just a few seconds. No flipping things over, no double scan, just throw it in. It's a 50 sheet scanning capacity, and I was able to just click go, and it just created a separate page for every side of the sheet. And even 3-sided sheets, it'll do those too, actually. Just kidding. 250 page input capacity on the paper tray. Now, what I like about this, and I actually looked at a couple of machines. I looked at some Brothers. I even looked at HP's, even though I would never buy another one again. And look at this. This tray is actually on rollers. So $350, and it was marked. Canon actually cut the price on this from $450, so it was actually marked on the shelf at $450, but because they cut the price, it's now $350. But you've got your basic 250 sheet capacity. That classifies this as a small office or home office machine. You wouldn't want this as a work group printer for a larger office. They do make bigger versions of this machine, but this isn't that. You do have an input tray here. Now, here's the thing that it took me a minute to figure out, because it's not in the manual, but this piece here, look at this. Look at this. This is interesting. This actually fits over the tray, like so. And you close the tray on it somehow. And actually, you might have to empty the tray. I don't know why that would be. That makes no sense. I don't think I do have to empty the tray. I think maybe this has to go in like that, maybe. But that's where this goes. It seems like a kind of a half-baked solution to a problem that should not be. But I mean, I think I'm doing this right. But the manual doesn't really talk about this. It just sort of is, you know. So strange. Why would they do that? Anyway, yeah, it doesn't quite fit. Am I missing something? It's got to be me, right? Do I need to take the paper out? I don't know. I think I do. Let's take the paper out and see. So this is the MF656CDW. There is the 700, the MF700 series is a little bit more money. Whether it's worth it or not to spend that kind of money, I don't know. Oh, you know what? I think I figured it out. I think the tray actually has to be stretched. Yeah. Let's take the tray out. And I think it has to be expanded to fit that in there. There it is. Okay, so there's the latch. So there's a little latch here. So you put this back here. Let's put the paper back in. So now it's in legal mode. So when I push this in, that's as far as it goes, right? And then you put this on, and that gives you the access to the. Oh yeah, there it is. You think it would close a little more, but I think that's how it goes. Yeah, pretty sure. But I won't be using that feature very often, so I'm gonna just close it up. Once again, am I missing something? Okay, there you go. So what are the other benefits of color lasers? So in my case, I weighed a few different options. With a color laser machine, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but with an inkjet, you can't let the machine sit for too long. Otherwise, the ink will coagulate, dry up, the heads get clogged, and then you end up dumping an entire ink cartridge just cleaning the heads, only to have it happen again a month later. So, true story, on that very machine, that HP that we just looked at, I did indeed burn through half a cartridge, half a black cartridge, trying to unclog the heads. This was before I was getting regular use. I bought a brand new cartridge, maybe not half the cartridge, I'm exaggerating just a tad, but I did burn through a considerable amount of ink just cleaning the heads. With a color laser, that is not an issue. These machines can sit for years unused, and they will still print, maybe a little dirty at first, but they'll print with very little issue when you need them. They're a kind of machine that is, and like any laser printer, they're great as standby machines, like if you don't use it frequently, but you need a machine that will be there when you need it. You want a laser. You don't want to waste any time or energy with an inkjet, because they are, unless they get regular use, they are a nightmare to own and expensive. Let's talk about expense. So the standard cartridges on this machine run about $75 a piece. Let me get you the figures on what they're good for. And since we're talking laser, this is what the cartridges look like. So we're gonna, oh, I just hit the wrong button. I shut it off, I didn't mean to. But we'll open this tray up, or this cover here. This opens up. Now this tray comes out. This is your cartridge tray. You got 4 cartridges, CMYK. K is black. And the cartridges that Canon uses, they have the imaging drums built in. You don't want these to be facing the light too long, by the way. That'll ruin them. But this tray, you get your cartridge and your imaging drum on one unit, just like the HPs that were based on these similar engines. And being a color laser, you have a transfer belt down there. We'll talk about the transfer belt in a bit. But this just simply rolls back in. Change the cartridge, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And you can look at the materials. There's a lot of plastic, but there's also a lot of metal in this machine, which is a good sign. Metal is good. You want to see, when you buy a printer, you want metal where it counts, because it keeps things in line. Plastic tends to shift and warp and whatnot over time, but they use metal where it's needed to keep things perfectly in line, to keep it in registration perfect. So yeah, let's go ahead and close this up. I'll turn it back on again. While I'm blabbering, let's see how long it takes to boot up. Here we go. If you've owned or oh, look at that, that was fast. HP, there's nothing I hate about HP. Their current generation of laser printers can take 5 minutes to start up, which is insane. I mean, not 5 minutes, but a couple of minutes to start up a modern day HP LaserJet let's say an M607 or a 608. It's ridiculous. I hate them. They take forever to start up. This thing is pretty much instant on. So straight from the horse's mouth, black prints up to 3,100 sheets. Color prints up to 2,350. And I believe they're referring to these numbers. So this is your standard capacity. No, this is your high capacity, and these are your standard. So your standard capacity cartridges, 1,300 sheets for black and 1,200 for color. The cartridges that it comes with a standard black cartridge, and the 3 color cartridges are starter cartridges. So you're probably going to cut that figure in half, about 600, a little over 600 sheets for your color toner. Now that is using standard, there's standard coverage that manufacturers typically go by to determine the yield on each cartridge. Now, if you're comparing this to an EcoTank Epson printer, or Epson EcoTank printer, the EcoTank is probably going to win out in terms of thrift. But once again, you're dealing with inkjet technology, and in my case, I can't do inkjet on decal paper for durability reasons. But if you're looking for, once again, if you're looking for a basic printer for your home office, for your home, for your kids' art projects, get an EcoTank, or HP, Canon, and I think even Brother all have their own version of that. So give one of those a try. You won't be disappointed. So moving along. As I stated, a 50-sheet, one-pass, double-sided scanner. That is awesome. I just used it. I had to do some, I had to scan some insurance paperwork to send to my agent, and it was just lickety-split done in a second. So let's go over the tech specs real quick, because I know some of you folks are really interested in this. We've reached a point where print speeds, look, once you hit 20 sheets per minute, I mean, really doesn't matter. If it's a home office, probably not. If you're dealing with, like, you know, a shared printer in a larger office, maybe your print speed is more important, but 22 sheets per minute. That's, is that color or black? It just says up to 22. So that's probably black. Color is probably a little slower than that. But these use the Canon UFR2 drivers, which I've been using at work like all the time, and they're pretty bulletproof. I have, so when it comes to HP products at work, we have a mixture of Canon and HP. And obviously I picked Canon based on my experiences with both. The HP printers that we have at work are constantly ending up with formatter errors, no matter what driver we use, no matter what firmware, no matter what model. I have had nothing but headaches with HP drivers. I think I mentioned this earlier in the video, but it's true. I have nothing but problems with HP drivers. Now, this is going back, by the way, 18 years. I've been in this job for 18 years, and we have gone through maybe 3 printer refreshes. We went from the HP 4000s to the 4100s, the 4250s, into the M600 series. Now we're at the M607s. So we started off in the M600s. Now we're on the M607s. And every single printer, whether it's on Windows or a Mac, whether it's on a server, printing from a server, or printing directly from the machine, we get formatter errors. So Canon has the UFR2 drivers, which I have had no issues whatsoever with, ever. They just work. And what is a printer supposed to do besides just work? It should be the one piece of equipment that, other than the occasional paper jam, maybe out of toner situation, it should be the one machine that we should be able to depend on, but yet HP still can't crack it. Now, Canon doesn't make HP software. They don't make the... HP designs the printer, to their specification using Canon print engines, now Samsung apparently, and they still can't get it right. I'm sorry, HP, you suck. You can go to hell. Good luck. I mean, good job making that 8710 Office Jet. That was a good printer, and it's still going after 6 years of use. But seriously, guys, just go out of business. Just go out of business. Seriously, you're done. You're done. You're drunk. Go home. Okay, looks like Epson looks like Canon is still supporting Windows 8.1 and Windows Server as far back as 2012, Mac OS 10.11 or later. E-Peat Silver, so that must mean it's somehow recyclable. The heft is something you might want to consider. 48 pounds for the unit, and the box was 63 pounds, and I had to carry it in by myself. So, you know, that's something to factor into. Power consumption, 900 watts while printing, 10 watts standby, 8 watt sleep mode. Print volume. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is how you can determine the printer's expected lifespan. Print volume, 2,500 pages per month. I believe that's per month. So that's the duty cycle. Let's figure out what the duty cycle is. 2,500 pages per month. So you can figure out what the expected lifespan is. So this is another thing I want to point out, and I didn't mention this earlier. This machine has a 3-year warranty. Mic drop. 3-year warranty on a color laser. That is a very good thing. 2,500 pages. So times that by 12. You're looking at around 30,000 pages per year. Now, again, this is a small office, home office, or Soho machine. 30,000 pages per year. Times that by 3. So this machine, according to Canon, is engineered to last around 90,000 pages. Not bad. That's not bad. So 90,000, that is what its expected lifespan is. Whether that's a scientific formula or not, that's what, when I shop for printers for work, and I buy a lot of printers, I do factor that in. I'll look at a couple of different models. I'll figure out which one has the highest monthly volume for the price range we're looking at, and factor that by the warranty period. There we go. That's how much it's designed to last between failure. So that is actually quite good. So a 3-year warranty, that right there, that was the clincher for me. A 3-year warranty, it cost me $350, and the supplies obviously will offset that quite a bit. Now, talking about supplies, I expect to go through maybe one set of cartridges every 2 years. No joke. I don't do a lot of printing. And again, that was a factor in my purchasing decision. That's one of the benefits, side benefit, by the way, of a color laser. If you do need occasional color and it's not going to get used frequently, that's where you want to go. Now, there's one thing I want to talk about too. Now, this is kind of something that I have found to be pretty common with color lasers. In fact, even regular lasers. So I had just purchased a pack of shipping labels that I needed to print for the boxes that I send out. And I wanted to print them with a color border, a red border, so that they stand out. And I figured it'd be a great test to see what this machine can do. So I loaded them up, all 10 sheets. That's the 100 labels if you're doing the math. And 10 per label, 10 per sheet, 100 labels. And I print the first one out. Now, according to the legend here, on the bottom of this tray, maybe I misread the hieroglyph, maybe I didn't, but it looks like I misinterpreted that as face down. So that's what I did. I put it in at face down, right? Well, turns out it's face up. Whoops. So I printed on the back side of the laser sheet. The other thing that happens though, and I've had this happen before, when you're printing labels, Avery labels on color and laser, regular monochrome and color lasers, is occasionally you're going to get toner pickup. I don't know what the correct term for this is, but kind of like a ghosting effect, where you'll see a ghost or a shadow of the previous label. And it seems to be common with Avery products. This happens at work all the time. So what I have to do is when it gets really bad, I have to run like 10, 15 sheets of paper just to clean it up. And then we run a few more. Well, this printer does it too. And it has to do with either the surface of the label material or the stock that they use. This thing got real messy real fast. I printed 10 sheets, and at the last one just had crap all over it. So what I ended up doing was I ran the same labels on plain paper. I ran about 5 or 6 sheets, and it cleaned it right up. Now, this machine is brand new. I bought it yesterday. It's not a defect. That's just what they do. And we have Canon machines. We have HP machines. And the desktop machines that we have, no matter whose name is on the front, they seem to all do that. And I don't know a way to solve it. If you have any ideas, let me know. But it's annoying because it's incredibly wasteful. We print, at work, we print, almost an entire ream of labels at a time. So it gets tedious. Lasers do that. Inkjets do not do that. Whatever. But it looks like running a few sheets through it cleaned it right up. Let's do a photo. Let's see how she can print photos. I just want to, for my own, look at that. It's a 5-inch screen. Now, think of 2023. Okay, 2023. We have screens on our printers that are just as big as the Osborne 1 portable computer. In fact, the early Macintoshes were only 4 inches bigger than this. 9 inches. 9 inches. The early Macs were 9 inches. This is on a printer. And it's a touchscreen. Just to throw that out there. All right, I'm going to print this photo. This is me and Amelia at my friend's wedding. I was the best man, which is why I was wearing a tux. So let's print this photo. Here we go. We're going to do color. Okay. Let's do that. And printing color. Let's take a look at quality. We're going to print this on plain paper. So quality, I'm going to do, oh, it's a draft or normal. Now, color lasers were never meant to print photos. They'll do it. But they're not really, it's the wrong tool for the job. If you want a nice quality photo, you want to use inkjet technology, preferably one with more than 4 colors, and maybe even a gray cartridge. No, it's a big job. It's a lot of data being sent through the airwaves, so let's give it its time. It's going to take a little minute or two. By the way, I believe this machine has 1 gigabyte of shared memory, in case you're wondering. That's a pretty good sized amount of memory for a printer, I think. Here we go. That was relatively quick. Now, what does this look like? Now, that's not bad. So let's get this under the good light here. Let's see what she looks like. Now, that, I would have to say, is a fine quality photo. I would say I've seen better. You can see some of the dithering there, a little bit of dirt, not dirt, but line dithering, I think they call that. But the fine detail is there. I mean, and being printed in toner, so The nice thing about the color toner is it doesn't soak into the paper. So if you were to print this very same photo on an inkjet machine, what you're going to wind up with is a lot of banding. You're going to see banding, especially on a lower end color inkjet. But you're also going to see a little bit of, on plain paper, now this isn't photo paper, but on plain paper, you're going to see a little bit of that ink kind of spread a little bit in the fibers of the paper, especially if it's just copy paper. So I would say that on a color laser, that is absolutely fantastic quality right there. I have seen far worse. Another thing I want to point out is just how quickly this thing printed from 0 to 100. If you've ever used an earlier color laser printer, like one from the late 90s, when color lasers were starting to become affordable for offices, we had a machine at work that was circa 1999, and it took about 10 minutes for the first printout of the day. You turn it on, and it would take literally, I'm not even exaggerating, I think it took about 10 minutes for your first printout. And every printout thereafter was like 1 a minute. I believe the actual, the print rate was around 4 pages per minute on that early color machine. And while it was churning and chugging along, it was dumping toner into the bottom of the machine. So when we went to go move that printer out of the office to finally heave it, and it weighed about 100 pounds. I think it was a LaserJet, color LaserJet 4500. I think that's what it was. I think it was a 4500. When we moved it out of that room, toner just dumped everywhere. It was so disgusting. It had a drum. I had never seen this technology used after that, but all the cartridges were loaded into a rotating drum, and it would print 1 pass per color it was so slow. 4 pages per minute, I believe, was the maximum it could do. And it was just so unreliable and so bad. I was happy the day we got rid of it because it was just, it was terrible. But the photo quality that I just saw come out of this machine that I'm impressed. I'm gonna say I'm impressed. And we didn't use half an ink cartridge with that one printout. Color laser is a technology that I feel like it's stagnated a little bit, but that's okay. It's matured to a point where you can use it for a photo if you need to. The printouts are more durable. They're cheaper than inkjet. Again, we looked at pricing on these cartridges, and I think it was around $75 for the 3 colors per color. And I think you can get bundle packs. Let's take a look at that. You can get compatible cartridges for this machine. I don't recommend them. In my experience with the color machines that we have from HP, which again is a very similar design, if not the same, those cartridges tend to leak, the compatible ones. We've had a lot of issues with cartridges leaking. It's always the magenta cartridge, and I talked to my supplier about that, and they seem to think that there are materials used in the magenta cartridge that are unusually harsh on the end seals. Something to consider. But you can get a pack of all 4 for $250. I believe these are high capacity, or $179 for the 4 as a standard capacity. Genuine cartridges are $65.99 for the standard black, and $103 per color for the XL or high capacity cartridges. So $400 or so, you can fill the machine up. But again, you've got to consider that XL cartridge is going to last you, over 3,000 pages. So not a bad gig, not a bad gig. I mean, but the thing is, unlike the inkjet machines, you can get aftermarket cartridges, and they will work. They will work, but they may leak. And one more thing to consider, if you're going aftermarket and you have a problem under your 3-year warranty, there's a very real possibility that they can void your warranty, or they'll give you a hard time. That's it. Whether they can legally do that or not, I don't know. I have not actually seen a warranty claim denied over a cartridge, but something to consider. If that aftermarket cartridge dumps toner into the machine and destroys the transfer belt, well, maybe they're not going to cover that. Now let's talk about that transfer belt. There is one consumable that a color laser has that a black and white or monochrome laser does not have, and that is your transfer belt. Let's take a look at it real quick. So we're going to open the front cover. I'm going to take... So we don't want to expose the imaging drum to light, too much light. But that little black thing back there, that is your transfer belt. And it is a replaceable item. It is a consumable. And there should be a waste tank in the back. And what it does is it's going to do a cleaning of that belt every I believe, between jobs or so. And what that does is it scrapes off any unused toner. But what that transfer belt is, what its job is the paper is going to ride along that belt underneath the cartridges, underneath the individual imaging drums. And that is how it produces the image. That belt actually gets charged to allow the toner to stick to the paper. I believe the belt gets charged, and that's part of the whole process of depositing toner. Whether the paper gets charged or the belt does, I'm not really sure. I'm not a laser printer technician per se. I have repaired many of them over the years, hundreds of them in fact. But yeah, it's kind of like that. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to put these back in and maybe not expose them to light. That might be a good idea. They can take light exposure, but it's generally best practice to not let that happen. So, all right, we can put this back together again. All right, but what it does is there's a waste collection container somewhere in the back of this machine that collects waste toner, because these do waste toner. It ends up on the belt, and rather than making a mess, it gets collected into a container. So getting back to that belt. So that belt is a replaceable item, and it costs as much as the machine. Just saying. You can get it, though. You can buy a transfer belt for this. But it's around $300 to $400 for the belt, which is what the machine costs. So, like an inkjet with bad heads, a lower end color laser machine with a bad transfer belt is basically scrap. I mean, these things don't last forever. But once again, that belt is designed to last a good long time. And with my own experience, I've never had one. Oh, no, I've had one fail. I've had one transfer belt fail. It was on an HP. It was one of the Samsung machines, actually. It was not a Canon. It was a completely different engine, and I believe it was Samsung who built that one. And that belt actually cracked because it's made out of a polymer, and it literally cracked. So, you know, I mean, something to consider. Maybe don't buy an HP. But of all the Canon-based ones we have, which have a very similar engine to this, I have yet to see a transfer belt fail. And ours are used in a commercial environment. So just throwing that out there. Okay, lastly, let's see how she copies. So we're going to do a single page copy. I believe it is face up on this machine. It is face up. Okay, so that immediately wakes it up. We'll press copy. We're going to do color. See how fast this goes. And see how good it looks from the original to the copy. Let's see what we got. Well, there might be some dirt on there, a little bit of toner from when we had it open. Nothing on the back. Look at the front here. At first glance, can you tell which is which? Okay, so there's a little bit of here. Can you tell? Let's take a look. This is the copy. This is the copy. And you know how I know? There's this mark right here. But the print is a little bit grainier than this one. The color accuracy is a little bit off. You can see Amelia's arm is brighter on the one which is now on the right, and just a little bit grainier. But, and the color, again, the color is not perfect either. But the more copies you make off of a copy, the worse they get. That's nothing new. That mark, by the way, was actually picked up from the original. Interesting. So there was something on the original that had that mark. But yeah, I'm going to say that's pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. As with any of my reviews on anything, there's no science. There's no, it's just my first impressions, what I think of the machine, what I expect out of it. And like, you know, that HP 8710, as much as I hate HP and I trash their products without hesitation, I am impressed with that 8710. It has been a good printer for 6 years. I expect this one to last about 10 years. Based on what I'm seeing in the field with similar products that wear the HP badge, I have higher hopes for the Canon, but I expect about 10 years. Based on my usage alone, maybe 10 years. I might go through 2 sets of cartridges in those 10 years, max. But the build quality of this machine, the overall impression that I get from this thing is actually really good. I mean, let's take a look at this scanner assembly, for example. This is a typical Canon LIDE scanner bar. What's nice about this Canon is it actually rides on a stainless steel shaft. It is belt driven, so it's a little bit quieter than the direct gear driven ones. You've got a, wow, that's a really good quality scanning mechanism. It truly is. It actually, because it's a double-sided machine, it has 2 scanner bars. This one is stationary. This one moves if you're doing flatbed scanning. So you've got another scanner bar here so that when you're scanning double-sided, it will pick up. Actually, there might be a third one in there, actually. No, I think you know what? It feeds this way. It goes like that. It goes around. The paper goes down through this path, and then back is forced back up into. So yeah, those are your 2 scanning bars. Easy access, by the way, for cleaning. This opens up in the case of a jam. So you open this guy here, and you open this guy over here. So if you need to replace these rollers, or if it ever jams up, that's how you get into it. Let's take a look at the HP scanner, since we're comparing apples to oranges. Now, in comparison, this HP, I can't really see it. Let me pull this out a little bit. So if you're to compare the two quality-wise, the HP is a single-side scanner. Again, we're apples and oranges. It is a direct drive scanner. The motor is mounted to the scanning bar, so it is very noisy. It does make a lot of noise. It sounds broken, as a matter of fact. But that is the cheaper way to build a scanner. It works. It does the job, but it's a lot noisier. You know, it's not the high quality that you get. I mean, just look at the build quality here. I mean, way fewer parts, kind of chunky, but for what I paid for this machine, which I think I paid $200 for this thing back in 2017. Hey, it did the job, and it worked, and it's continuing to work, but Canon just does it better. Now, there is a less expensive version of this machine that does not have a fax machine. And if they had that one in stock, I would have bought it. This one actually has an old-fashioned fax machine built in. If you have a landline, certainly you can use this for faxing. You can still fax over the internet. That is still a thing. Speaking of connectivity, It does also feature Ethernet and Wi-Fi. It does support Airprint for your iOS devices, and I believe other wireless printing technologies that are common in the modern era. It does support Bonjour as well. Obviously, everything does. But you've got your USB and your Ethernet in the back. There's another USB-B socket for some reason. I don't know what that's for. And let's take a look in the back here. Let's see what's back here. So this is where you undo or unclog jams. And I believe this is also, yes, to get to the imaging belt, or the transfer belt, it actually comes out the back as well. And, oh, look at that. It's got a handset plug. That's nice. That is really nice. Pretty well equipped. Your fuser's back here as well, although that does not appear to be a service item. I don't believe the fuser is a replaceable item on this machine, in case you were wondering. The answer is more than likely not, but the fuser is right here. And it doesn't look like it's removable, at least not by normal means. Generally, when the fuser, is there a waste collector as well? I don't see a waste collector, so it could be built into the system, probably way down in the bottom there. Some color lasers, you're going to find a waste collection bin. It'll be obvious and usually replaceable, but I don't see that here. Given the price point, I don't expect there to be one, so, take that for what it is. So in short, that's my full first impression of the Canon MF656CDW. Where printer manufacturers come up with their model names, I'll never know. Probably from the same place that Chinese motor scooter manufacturers come up with their model numbers. Yeah, I just bought me a Hyochung WXYG X-45128-G. What? If you know, you know. But anyway, there you go. This is really the perfect machine for your small home office. Again, I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's actually for what I paid, for the warranty it comes with. Now let's talk, before I go, I want to talk about that for a second. I used to work at Office Depot and Office Max. Back in the day, it was one of my, I needed a job at one point in my life, and that was a job. It didn't pay the bills, but it was money. And I sold a lot of printers. That became kind of my thing. I would study up on them and read through while we were in downtime periods. I would kind of familiarize myself with all the different makes and models, and I became the printer guru and the electronics guru. That was my place there, and so I kind of got to know the customers and I knew the products. And one of the things that those places would continuously do, and they still do to this day, is they would push extended warranties, to the point where I was told by my manager at one point that if I sold a printer without a warranty, it was losing the company money. Now, there's a lot to unpack there, but if you would actually get hauled into the office. If you sold enough electronics without extended warranties, you would be lectured and spoken to and written up, and it was bad. It was really a bad place to be. The warranties that they sold, which are similar to the products that they sell today, they were designed to take effect the date of purchase. So if I bought a printer with a 1-year warranty, or a laptop, or a desktop PC, whatever it is, even a stereo, with a 1-year warranty from the manufacturer, I would be told by the salesman that I should buy a 2-year warranty plan for my device, whatever it is. And as a consumer, without really asking the right questions, I'm thinking, oh, a 2-year warranty. Wow, how much? $50? Okay. And I go to the checkout and be on my merry way thinking, oh yeah, in my head, I've got a 3-year warranty because 2-year warranty, that means it takes effect after the manufacturer's warranty, right? Well, no. Actually, that is not the case. Those warranties take effect the date of purchase. So you're only buying yourself an extra 1 year of warranty. Right? So it's not as good of a bargain now, is it? Now, I'll say this. I have purchased extended warranties before, and I've used them before. I bought an HP DeskJet 900 series back in 2002. Or no, it was earlier than that. It was like 2000. And within the first 2 years, because I bought the 2-year plan on that printer, within the first 2 years, it indeed broke down. And I brought it back to the store and I said, I bought the extended warranty and it doesn't work. No questions asked, no hassles. It was, I think it was just over the original 1-year warranty. No issue at all. Okay, sir, well, just exchange it for another one. So the printer that I ended up getting as a replacement was a better printer. It was actually a new printer in box right off the shelf. No questions asked. That warranty paid for itself. And fast forward to now. I go to Staples. I want to buy this printer. Not only that, all right, now I'm going to sit down because this is a long one. So, as someone who once wore the vest at one point in his life, when I was a much younger man, I know the pressure that the salesman is under. And he is a salesman at that point. Because his success at that company, at Staples, where I bought it at Staples, is directly tied to the amount of add-ons that he can sell with a product. Now, we placed a huge emphasis on warranties, but we also placed a much bigger emphasis on supplies, paper, cables. You buy a printer, they want you to walk out the store with cartridges, paper, a cable, etc., etc., etc. So, the experience that I had was, I'm just going to say it, it was the worst experience I had ever had buying any electronic device. The worst. Buying this from Staples in 2023 was the worst experience buying anything. Really anything, actually. The guy, so here I am, I'm standing in the aisle, and I'm kind of muttering to myself, I'm weighing up the options, and they've got a Brother machine, they've got a Canon, and an HP, all within the same price bracket. All of them will do what I need them to do. And I'm walking over to the cartridge section to see, okay, what do the cartridges cost? I don't want to whip my phone out because I'm just lazy. I'm looking at cartridges, what do they cost? And I'm just kind of mulling it all over in my head. How much do I really want to spend on this? And the guy comes over. Clearly, it's like I didn't need help, but he saw me over by the printers and he was hell-bent on helping me. Okay, fine. Sure, whatever. So I'm like just kind of muttering a few things to him, just trying to communicate to the guy. And I'm also thinking aloud. I do that sometimes. I'm doing that now. And he just started telling me what I needed to buy. He's like, you need to buy this. And, well, I kind of want the Brother because Brother makes great color lasers too. I'm like, I'd rather have the Brother machine, but I see you don't have one in stock. And he's like, well, yeah, we can order it on staples.com. And I looked at him and I said, if I wanted to buy a printer online, I would be sitting in my chair right now in my underwear shopping for printers. I want to buy it in the store because I'm really into shopping local. Support stores, support the brick and mortar because they pay, property tax. It's a philosophy and I subscribe to it. Okay. So I'm like, I want to buy it in the store. If I wanted to buy it online, it wouldn't come here, right? To buy a machine that you don't even have, when I could just go to Amazon? And I said, I can go to Amazon.com and get it cheaper. He loved that comment. But he just wouldn't leave me alone. I'm like, I'm really trying to be nice. It's like, I don't need your help. And I said, you know what? I used to do your job. Like, I did this. I literally did this job like 15 years ago. No, longer than that, 20 years ago. But I'm like, I said, I'm good. I'm all right. He wasn't taking that for an answer. So I'm like, all right. I told the guy, I said, all right, I'm going to buy this machine. Okay. Let me take a look at the cartridges and let's just do the cost. And I'm like, oh, wait, you don't even have the cartridges. They didn't have the 67 cartridges even on their shelf. There was no spot for them. So the guy was a little upset because I know what he's thinking. It's like, well, if he buys this machine and he can't buy the toner, so he starts in on this. Well, sir, I'll tell you what we can do. I'll sell you this machine and we can order the toner. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And he was not happy. He's like, well, he was like short-circuiting, like his brain. You look at the expression on his face. It's like, yeah, but. I'm like, no, I don't need the toner. He's like, well, this comes with starter cartridges. I'm like, I know. I used to tell customers the same thing. I know what that means. Yeah. It comes with starter color, but it's a full capacity black. I know this. Dude, just back off. Anyway, I was really getting upset with him. So I walked away. I grabbed the cart. I went back to the aisle. I took the printer off the shelf, threw it in the fucking cart, and I went to go pay for it. And he's like, oh, you need a warranty. I'm like, no, I don't. Like, what do you mean? So I explained to him. I said, your warranty, does it start on the date of purchase or the date the manufacturer's warranty ends? He's like, oh, well, it starts on the date of purchase. And I said, well, this printer has a 3-year warranty. So you're telling me that I need to buy an additional 3-year warranty for $70 that doesn't add anything to the factory warranty. Like, it doesn't add to that 3-year. And you could look at the face. He knew I had him. He knew I had him by the balls. And he's like, I'm like, exactly. So let's just sell me the printer today. Okay, no warranty needed. And you know what I said? Because I'm a nice guy, I'll buy. I ran over and I grabbed a ream of paper. And I'm like, I'll buy a ream of paper just to make you happy. So you can't sell me toner that you don't have. And you can't sell me a warranty that doesn't add value to the purchase. So let's just wrap this up and get me the hell out of here. Oh, man. The worst experience I've ever had buying anything. Because the guy just wouldn't let up. He wouldn't leave me alone. He kept trying to outsmart me somehow. So I mentioned to him, I said, I used to actually work in this store. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, I worked in this store. And I said, not this particular location, but the one that was... So the Staples store used to be in a mall. It was an indoor mall. And they demolished it probably 16 years ago. They demolished it and they built a whole new strip mall around it. And that's where the current Staples store is. I said, I actually worked in the mall. And the guy's like, oh, then I knew you. I'm like, you knew me? Okay, how long have you worked here? He's like, oh, I've been here for 21 years. 21 years working at Staples. I mean, I'm not job shaming. Look, a job is a job. And he's happy there. He's been there for 21 years. Nothing wrong with that. But it's like, dude, you've been here for 21 years and you're... Anyway. Long story short, I didn't know the guy because I only worked there for about a week. I couldn't stand it. The management in that store at the time was extremely unprofessional. And I'm like, I'm not going to work here. It was a side job for me at the time back in 2008. I think in 2008 is when I worked there. It was going to be a side job for me, and it was like, this isn't going to work out. I'm like, I'm not going to stay here. But anyway, I never met the kid. Whatever. I thought I'd share that with you guys. So, yeah, long story short, buy the Canon. You'll be happy. Or a Brother. I mean, I wanted a Brother printer, but they didn't have one on hand. And I wasn't going to order it, but I already explained that. Oy, this video is longer than it needs to be. So you guys have a great day, and just enjoy the whatever it is you do. Okay, until then.